just call for your attention at the front of the room. Now we're going to go into appearance standards, which are very, very important. We did touch a little bit on it earlier, so we won't go into too much depth, just to let you know why it's important. So uniformed team members must have a clean pressed uniform, that goes without saying, especially in the front of the house. If you're in the back of the house for our preps and our dishwashers, Matthew, if you come out with a clean apron, I'll be surprised. But you'll want to have that apron in a backup, because you never know when you're going to be pulled into the front of the house for whatever reason. You always want to be clean and crisp, always. Same with the servers. Keep an eye on your aprons. If it can be wiped off, wipe it off. I mean, they're there for a reason, of course, but you always want to look as crisp and clean as possible. So, for the non-uniform team members, such as anyone working the hostess area, you'll want to definitely, and I know some of our bartenders, you're allowed to wear, a black shirt, blouse? Yeah. Okay, and so it's really, really important that you are not wrinkled. How many of you iron? Raise your hands. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited to see you iron. I iron too. I love to iron. I like to be
I do too.
Yes.
I like to use starch.
You do starch. I do starch on some of my things because I want it to look brand new. And you know, I don't even, I bought an ironing board, but I like to sit Indian style on the floor on a towel and iron my clothes. And I've been doing it since I was a teenager, you know, but I just think that it adds that crisp look, especially with the creases and the sleeves, you know, I just think it looks amazing. So if you do that, more power to you. So what are some of the things that our guests do not want to see the team members doing in public? Chewing gum. How many of you chew gum? Raise your hands. Some of us do chew gum, you know, if your mouth is dry or you just kind of want to clear your palate. But keep in mind that we do not chew gum while we're at work, especially serving our guests. It just doesn't look professional, chewing gum in front of the guest. We do not want to be talking on our cell phones or mobile phones, that goes without saying, or eating or drinking in front of our guests. Did some people do, have you ever been in a restaurant where you see them drinking and eating behind the bar?
Yeah.
I have.
Or walking out from the kitchen.
And eating. Yeah. That is very unprofessional. We do not want to be that restaurant. We just don't. Get on your break, have your little meal, you know, if you need to. But we'll talk about that too. Demonstrate positive body language at all times. You don't want to be leaning on things. Even if you're at the table, if you're on the outside and you're serving, you don't want to lean on the table. Okay, it just doesn't look. I've seen servers do that before, not at Andiamo, but other restaurants. So we want to make sure that we're not doing that. Cleanliness is required. So does everyone take a shower every day? And this is just a rhetorical question. Not everybody does. Some people prefer baths, right? But then there's some people that take a few days in between. We want to make sure that we are alert about our body odor. I remember I was talking about juicing. I used to juice garlic. Yeah. I came to work one day and one of the girlfriends, she goes, it smells like, and she was very non-diverse in the statement, she goes, it smells like an Indian in here. I don't like an Indian. What are you talking about? She goes, I smell garlic. I'm like, really? I said, you smell garlic? I said, that's me. I smell like an Indian. I said, because I juice it. It's a natural antibiotic, antiviral, antifungal, and anti-mold. It is amazing the health benefits for the body. So, yeah, now I just take odorless garlic capsules because I don't want to offend anybody. I mean, this was at MGM. I was a dealer at that time, and she was sitting next to me at the table. So garlic actually respirates through your pores. So you do even have to be mindful of that if you've had garlic the night before and you're coming into work. You really do. You have to be mindful because it's not something that an Altoid's going to take care of. Or a gum. It's just going to keep oozing. Kind of like alcohol on some days. And you know what I mean when I say that too. You can smell that. Colognes, aftershaves, and perfumes are used in moderation. Why is that important?
Because
Yeah.
it takes from the food.
Allergic. The food tastes different. Is that what you said? Also,
Yeah, some of the best things about having something served is the way the food smells. So and then you can. It's all about the experience.
Absolutely. And when you have other smells coming into the room that's affecting you, people taste with their nose. I know we put the food in our mouth, but we actually taste with the nose. If you have a stuffy nose, you can't taste your food.
Right.
How many have ever experienced that with a cold? Yeah, it just doesn't taste right after that. So you just really have to be mindful of cologne and aftershave. If you do want to put some on, just put a little bit behind your ears, a little dot, a little dab will do ya. Teeth must be clean and breath must be fresh. That goes without saying. So we do have to make sure that we're brushing our teeth. That is a must every day. Things that guests do not want to see or hear. I see you. Team members congregating in guest areas. What does that mean?
Talking on the floor.
You're talking on the floor.
Yeah.
A congregation is more than one person. And so what happens when one or more team members tend to get together?
They start talking loudly and the mouths.
Mouths start going.
It may not even be your section. So then when you go take care of your table, they're standing there with the house.
And I heard this just recently and it was at an Andiamo, where the group was congregating together and they were complaining. They did not know this person was a part of the team. And they heard them cussing and swearing and talking about the guests that they had seated. I don't want to say any names, but it can get stressful out there on a day. We do want to vent, but we can't go to the service bar and do the venting because that's connected to what? The bar, where people are dining. So be mindful all the time. That's really, really big. Even if it's about a day off or you're working extra, leave the complaining on the other side of the walls. Just don't. Complain and remain, or praise and raise. Do you ever hear that saying? Yeah. You complain, you remain. You praise, you raise. So if somebody is complaining, you say, oh, well, maybe you need a hand with that. I'd be more than happy to help you out. Give me a minute. Do you know why you do that? You do want to help them. But wonder if I'm so busy and I'm swamped and I'm feeling the same thing she's feeling or he's feeling. I'm still going to do the best that I possibly can to help that person. Why? Because it's who I am.
Well, also make sure that your guest is being taken care of so that they come back. So you make your money.
That's right, Missy. And not only that, but it creates the climate and the atmosphere. It creates a very peaceful, calm atmosphere in the middle of chaos. Right? You ever see that happen in a day? Absolutely. It happens all the time. Personal or work issues not discussed in the guest area. Just don't. Gum chewing, we talked about that. Team members using guest restrooms. Sometimes, if it's an emergency, we have to. But we really should be going back to our restrooms. Do we have restrooms in the back? Mm-hmm. The back of the house? Is there ever a time when we have to use the guest restroom? Yeah. Sometimes we have to, but make sure that your boss knows where you're at all times, okay? Swearing and foul language. How many of you use foul language or have ever sworn in your entire life? Yeah. I used to say that I swear like a sailor and pray like a saint.
That's awesome.
But I stopped it. I stopped it because I want to be better than I was yesterday. And swearing actually shows that you're choosing words that you could choose bigger and better and brighter words to use. And they can be colorful and descriptive, but they're just a different form of that word.
But you know, sometimes.
Sometimes it feels good. I know, I was there. Sometimes, but you have to be creative. How many of you have little children? Raise your hand. Or grandchildren. Okay, when you have little children around, you have to use creative verbiage. Just saying. You have to be creative. So those F-bombs now become Franken beans. Right? But you decide to find a different F-bomb. Yeah, there's many to choose from. Complaining or grumbling. We don't want to complain or grumble, right? Doesn't mean that we don't feel complaining and grumbling inside of us. When I feel myself complaining and grumbling, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that because I don't want that energy today. So I'm going to find something good about this, what I'm doing, and I'm going to make it work. How many of you have that attitude? That attitude carries you. It really does, because we all have stress in our lives. We all have stressful days. I can think of 10 things right now that I can complain about. But guess what? I'm not going to complain. I'm going to try to see the good in every single project. Every single thing that I do is going to have a reward at the end of it, if I think that way. If I think in a grumbling way, guess what? There's no reward. There's nothing waiting at the end of that but misery.
And it's not going to change.
And it's not going to change it. Right. I always say, if you have a complaint, bring a solution. Don't come to me with a complaint if you don't have a solution. Because guess what? There's a solution for every single complaint. And it's just about how we activate it. Right? So, maintaining our appearance, these are the standards for that. Let's take a peek. Team members' appearance creates a positive impression to our guests, always. Team members' appearance reflects the image of the McCary Restaurant Group, absolutely. Consistency of appearance standards is achieved with all team members. So if you see somebody wrinkling and not representing, you're just going to be like, you know what? That's not a good idea because they're probably going to send you home. How many of you have ever been sent home or know somebody that's been sent home because they were not representing appearance standards? Yes. Yes. We have sent people home before. Not here at the McCary Restaurant Group that I'm aware of, but at MGM, absolutely. If they were wrinkled up, they had to iron it. If we said clean shave and they came in with a 5 o'clock shadow, they had to go home. Punch out, go home, lose time on the clock. Now you're tardy because you did not come to work prepared. This is a part of the uniform. This is a part of the uniform, right? Keep that in mind. Strict adherence to grooming and uniform standards is maintained at all times. These are standards. Team members demonstrate pride in their appearance. Oh, and we already took our little break, so kind of got ahead of ourselves there. So now we're going to talk about demonstrating teamwork, because in this business, like I said earlier, we're all holding hands. We're all joined at some point during the course of our day, all day, actually. So what makes an effective team? Communicating effectively with all team members, both front of house and back of house. What are some things, Ramona, that makes it effective for you?
Team player.
Being a team player.
Directions. Always look everyone.
Clear directions. So who's giving the clear directions? Are you getting it from above, or are you giving those clear directions? Either or. That's right. Because how many of you have been in an altercation because of a miscommunication? All the time. It happens every day, all day. And so it's so important for us to speak clearly and what we mean and with respect and our tone and the way we say it to each other. That matters. It really does. And you speak to somebody the way you want to be spoken to. I don't like to be yelled at. So, but do I yell? Yes. I'd be lying if I said no. But when I catch myself in that mode where I'm ready to fly, I'm just like, that is a trigger to me to stop, take a deep breath, and come into a different approach. So you have to know when you're getting ready to step into that zone, that's time to stop and pause and take a step back. So, and it takes practice. That doesn't come naturally. I'm going to tell you, I practiced everything that I'm telling you today. I practiced it. I was not always this way. So it does take some work. You don't just come out refined after this class. You really have to get out there and utilize it and practice it. It's a big deal. Front of house and back of house supports each other. That is huge. A big deal. Trust and respect. In order to get trust, you have to give trust. You have to trust somebody. Even if that person is backhanded, would rob you blind, you say to them, you know what? I trust that you'll be coming in tomorrow. You always do such a great job. And they're like, no, I don't. But in their mind, they're thinking, they believe in me. They trust me. And now, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? You've just planted seeds. And this life is about planting seeds in others to make them think about their behaviors, to think about the right things to do. So there is a way to do those things as well. Constant training and practice in what we're doing today. So if you walk out of this room and you don't utilize anything that I said, this was just a waste of all of our time. But I want to leave you with at least one morsel, one seed that you're going to plant, and you're going to water it. You're going to put it in beautiful soil, and you're going to water it, and it's going to grow. And you're going to see the fruit thereof. Does everyone have that seed? You're thinking about it right now? Write down your seed. It doesn't have to be at this moment, but write down your seed. And you may have a whole garden, I hope, if that's what you choose. But at least pick one seed that you're going to choose to water. Accountability. Accountability. That's a big word. Are we all accountable?
Yes.
Yes, we are. We have to be accountable for what? Our actions, ourselves, our decisions. Do we always make the right decision? No, we don't. We don't always make the right decision. But we have to be held accountable for our decision, whether it's right or wrong, at the end of the day. So before I make a decision, I think about the accountability piece. And you know who holds me accountable? Me. I do first. If you have low standards and you're not holding yourself accountable, then when somebody else does, you might be offended. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that happens a lot in this day and age, believe it or not. Helping each other and showing compassion. You said that was one of your strengths, JoJo. Mm-hmm. Being compassionate. You know, being able to put yourself in another person's shoes is a big deal. And that happens a lot in the back of the house. Because they're not in the limelight, they're not out there with the guests, but everything they do in that back of the house affects that guest experience. All the way from an attitude to a smile, a handshake, somebody that cares. When I go to the restaurant, you know, the first place I go to is the back of the house. I'm going to give some hugs. I'm going to say hello. I'm going to say, hey, we appreciate you. You're doing a great job. And they're looking at me like, oh my God, Marie-Therese, when are you coming back? You know, we want to see you again. Because that is the job that doesn't get the light shining on them as much as they should. But tomorrow when you come to class, you're going to be shining bright, and you're going to love Chef's class. It's amazing. The most effective use of our time, that's how we demonstrate teamwork. How is it that I'm going to get the best use of my time every single day? How am I going to deliver the best product for the time that I put in? How many hours do we get in a day every day? Does anybody get more than 24 hours? Because I want to sign up. I only get 24. I know how many hours I get to sleep. I know how many hours it takes to get ready to come to work. I know how many hours I get to spend with training, how many I get to spend with recruiting, how many I get to spend on the phone, how many I get to spend making relationships, how much time I get to have dinner and cook dinner, how much time it takes to let the dog out, how much time I get to have my private time in prayer at the end of the night, and how much time I get to sleep again. How many have your calendar set up that way? No, hardly any of us. But we know that it takes a certain amount of time to do each thing. And in order for you to become your best and most productive, think about where you're spending your time. Where is your time going? If you're at the restaurant and it's not busy, I guarantee you there's a fork on the floor that needs to be picked up, because I've got a picture of it. Marie-Therese, I was at your restaurant. It wasn't really a busy day. In fact, it was quite slow. It was around lunchtime, and this is what I seen. I'm like, whoa, okay, thank you for that. They can't wait to tell me, but then tell me also the things that they do, see that it's good. Do you know what I'm saying? It matters. That all matters. So if you have enough time to sit back and take a breath, take your breath as you're cleaning. because our restaurants need to be pristine and clean and immaculate and crumb-free. Because if you go to a restaurant and you look on the ground and you're eating your dinner, a fabulous dinner, fine dining, and you look down and there's forks and crumbs under the table next to you. Or there's dirty dishes on the table because no one has come by to bust that table. You just stole the life out of that restaurant, out of that fine dining experience. When I'm eating in fine dining, first thing I'm looking at is, did they clear that table? Are there crumbs on the floor? Right? Are you crumbing in between? The entrees. Are you coming over to, is that what it's called, crumbing the table?
Yeah, we don't do that.
You don't have that? Some of us do though, right? Yeah? Yes.
Clear crumb mark.
Clear and crumb mark. So tell us what that means, Nick.
So you're gonna clear your dish, then you're gonna crumb, and then you're gonna mark with the appropriate for the next course.
Right, so whether it's a dessert, now you're gonna get a dessert spoon or dessert fork, depending on what that is. That is beautiful to me. That is awesome. I know I'm in fine dining when they're crumbing my area. I want you to crumb my area. Even if you guys don't crumb, would you come crumbing? Do you know what I mean? Because I think that feels great. And so, but we have to make sure that our crumbing is not on the floor. I was at a restaurant the other day with my son. I don't even want to say what the name of it was, but there were crumbs all over the floor next to me, and I was sitting next to the fireplace. That's where I love to sit in this restaurant, next to the fireplace. And there were crumbs all over the floor, and the floor had not been crumbed in hours, and she's like digging out from underneath the table, you know, and there's silverware flying, and I'm like, what is that? Do you know what I mean? It was a busy day, but it's never too busy in between your guests to make sure that that area is clean, because that's a part of getting it ready for that next guest. You can't be flying around. There's too many of us as a team in the organization for that not to get done. Do we all agree? Absolutely, absolutely. Because one of the things I'm looking at when I go to fine dining is the cleanliness. One of the things I learned early on, when you go to a restaurant, where's the first place you go?
Bathroom.
The bathroom. Why do you go to the bathroom?
Wash your. If they don't keep the bathroom clean, how do you expect to keep everything else clean?
Bam! There it is. I walked out. I've been on a date. And it was an Asian restaurant, and I love Thai food. I do. I'm multicultural. I love food from every different country in the world. And get in the bathroom, it was a filthy mess. Because I went in to wash my hands, just like the rest of us, washing your hands. I come out and I said to my date, put my coat on, I said, it's time to go. And he just looked at me, he was already ordering, he had the menu, he was ready, scrolling up and down, seeing what he wanted. I said, it's time to go. We have to leave now. And then he said, well, why, Marie-Therese? I said, go use the bathroom and come back and tell me what you think. He said, yep, you're right, it's time to go.
The same standards.
The same standards, and he knew. And so I'm telling you this, our guests are looking at every single thing in our restaurant. I'm looking to see if there's dust. I'm looking because if there is, what else? What other standards are you just trying to slide by? You know, you're just trying to get by with a paycheck at the end of the day instead of really caring. When I go in, that's my home. That's my business when I go in there. I'm pointing out because I'm in there rolling up my sleeves and I'm doing it because that is representing who I am and I'm representing who that restaurant is. So any one of your restaurants too, by the way. So strong support of team decisions, that's teamwork. That's another something that Ramona was talking about. You want to make sure that you're doing that. And when can we get strong team support? Pre-shifts. How many of you have pre-shifts? Raise your hand. No pre-shifts over there? Rocky's Chef Bill, somebody?
Well, I don't attend the pre-shift, so I don't know what's going on. I'm mainly in the back and carry-out, so I don't know.
Okay, back and carry out deserves a pre-shift. Every day you need to know what's going on with your area. So the pre-shift, we're out of carrots for today. We're going to be running and getting some more carrots later on at the market down the street. Kayla, I just want to give you the heads up right now. We're 86 on the carrots. So now there's a communication board, we're 86. And so those are the little things that you talk about. And one of the big deals for me is your communication board. How many of you know where your communication board is? Raise your hand. We're gonna be having a contest for communication boards. Livonia's already started theirs. I want it colorful. Who wants to be in charge of that board? I want it colorful. I wanted to say the latest and the greatest. What does that look like? The sign-up sheet for the classes, the new hire orientation that today you're in. I want to see whatever that is, the cell phone policy. What are some of the policies? What are some of the events in the area? What are our lineup for the celebrity showroom? Where's our Millie Grazie card? Everything that you need to set yourself up for success on that board. What's 86? There's a whiteboard, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely. Your pre-shifts are your most important tool. So I'll make sure you get a pre-shift, even if it's a one-on-one. It doesn't have to be a whole group, as long as that communication is flowing in the places that it needs to do. So that's where we're talking about the daily awareness of the operation. You cannot go into a job and not know what to do for today or not know what's on the roadmap. It's just impossible. And then you want to make sure in your teamwork that you have a strong follow-through. So if you say you're going to do something, do it. If you are going to own it, right? Absolutely. So what are teamwork standards? Team members respect one another. That goes without saying right there. Team members demonstrate excellence in all that they do. Team members support one another. That's huge. Team members value and respect each other, front of house, back of house. See how that came in twice? You have to also value and respect yourself. That's huge. Yep. Golden rule. Team members remember that we're a whole team. Whole team. And team members feel valued and respected again. How many of you feel valued and respected? Some days are better than others. Some days are better than others. I'm just going to put it like that. We all have gifts and we all have talents. And it's about how we present those gifts and those talents. And just because somebody puts us in a certain spot doesn't mean we have to stay there, right? So keep that going. Communicate professionally. Communication is central to the relationships we establish with guests and team members. Why is it that communication is so important in this industry?
You might have an allergy, you might kill them.
Bam! So, if I have an allergy, and this just happened recently too, by the way, I'm always going to give you samples, where I was sitting next to a guest at Andiamo, and they ordered something, and the manager said, we cannot split items this evening because we're having a special event. Okay, so this person was very gracious, and said, oh, that's perfectly fine. So as soon as that manager left, I looked at that guest, and I said, do you have a food allergy? She said, yes, I do. I said, we are going to prepare your food exactly the way you requested it. Thank you. The server did not ask if this person had an allergy, and the manager did not ask if this person had an allergy. But right away I knew that she had an allergy. I believe it was to the cream sauce.
Dairy.
The dairy, yeah. But she had little pills to take.
The lactose pills.
Right, lactose pills. And so I said to my server, I said, can I please have the gnocchi with the angry sauce? He said, absolutely. I said, thank you. And I would prefer you to bring it to this guest because she has a food allergy. So we have to understand, even if we had a special event going on where we don't typically split up an item, we still need to ask that. And that guest requested it that way. There's a reason they requested it that way. And with their two people, a server and a manager, and nobody asked that guest. Do you know what I mean? And that guest is high up in the political ranks in the state of Michigan. Wouldn't know it if you looked at her, but she is. So I was there and made it better. I insisted. So it turned out to be a very, very good experience for her. We exchanged numbers and I had her give me a full rundown of her experience for that evening. So, and that feedback's important for me so I can bring them to the class to teach you. Because those are things that you may not be thinking about when you're in the heat of that moment. when your manager is overriding you. Those are some things that you really need to think about, because essentially we could kill somebody. We could kill somebody. There was a young man when I was growing up, he loved Kit Kat bars, loved them. It was a year to graduate high school. They came out with a peanut butter Kit Kat bar, put it right next to the Kit Kat bars. He didn't know there was a new Kit Kat bar, ate it, and had an anaphylactic shock and died. Right before they were graduating that year. Horrific. And so he didn't know any better. He was just grabbing his favorite Kit Kat bar, not knowing that they had changed a recipe to peanut butter. So no matter what's going on in the restaurant, if that guest asks you to change that recipe in any way, shape, or form, the first question is, do you have a food allergy? I will be happy to do that for you. Absolutely. Absolutely. I need 4 volunteers. Oh, come on up. 2 more. We're gonna play a game. I'm gonna get Jeff moving. We're almost done with the class, but this is like the best part. Come on up here, JoJo. You're raising your hand. I need 1 more person. How about the guys? Matt? Yeah. Abe. You wanna come up? Come on up. Come on, Abe. I love it. Okay, come on. So now, how many of you have ever played the communication game?
Oh, yeah.
Where you get told something and then you pass it on and you pass it on. That's kind of what we're going to do
How
here.
the story changes.
Yeah, we're going to see how the story changes. So I want one of you to decide who will stay in the room to get the original message, and I'm going to have the other 3 go into the hallway. Now, once that person passes on that message to me, then you will go out and get the next person, and then that person will come in, and that message will be relayed until we get to the final person.
Okay, what?
It's a message, a relay of a message. So Abe, I'm going to give it to the first person, so you can be the first person if you want to, and then you have to give it to the next person that comes in, and then that person will have to give it to the next person until we get to the final, and then we'll see how close to the original message that message is. Okay, this is important. You want to take a note, because this is where we were talking about Ramona, about what? Clear directions. So who wants to stay? Beautiful. All right, Joanna. Remind me, Jennifer. Joanna.
Yes.
Okay, you 3. I'm going to have you step outside the door. And if you could kind of go down towards the restrooms to the left, because I talk pretty loud. I'm going to try to whisper. I'll still hear whisper. Okay, now you're going to stay facing me, and I'm going to put the message on the board. So everybody, you'll get to see the message, and I'm just going to say it to you. So it's going to be the original message. Okay, you ready? All right, Jennifer. Mr. Goldstein is coming in from the airport today, and he has a dinner reservation at 5:30 p.m. He's going to propose to his fiancée this evening. Please ensure he has a champagne stand prepped. He has requested an intimate table by the fireplace. This is a surprise, so please do not mention anything to his fiancée, Miss Snyder.
That was a long one. Isn't it like supposed to be some short little message?
Okay, now if you hear what she just said, she said, could you please repeat that? I'll be happy to repeat that. Mr. Goldstein is coming in from the airport today, and he has a dinner reservation at 5:30 p.m. He is going to propose to his fiancée this evening. Please ensure he has a champagne stand prepped. He has requested an intimate table by the fireplace, and this is a surprise, so please do not mention anything to his fiancée, Miss Snyder. Good? Okay. Let me go see who wants to come in next. I know that was a lot of information, but we get information like that every single day, right?
It's gonna be hilarious.
Fun. Jennifer, you're the lucky one. You get the original.
Oh, gosh.
All right. Nicholas, Jennifer has a message for you regarding dinner.
Do I gotta say it out loud?
Yes, everyone's here.
Okay.
The whole world is here.
All right, Mr. Goldstein has a reservation with us tonight. This couple is
5:30. Mr. Goldstein has a reservation with us this evening at the airport. He'll be in around 5:30. He is requesting a champagne stand set and a table by the fireplace. It is a proposal.
Let me know when you're done. Just tell me.
It is a secret, so it is a surprise, so please don't be surprised.
Awesome. Yay, great job, Jennifer. That's a hard goal. That's a hard goal. You got it?
Yeah.
You good? Any? Okay, good. All right, let's bring in the next person. Let's see who else is gonna come in. Now, don't give any clues or secrets. We're sort of secrets. Next. Oh, Jojo, you'll be, okay, bring it up for me. All right, good. Come on in, sir. Nicholas has something that he would like to tell you.
All right. Tonight we're going to have Mr. Goldstein have a reservation at the airport for 5:30. He'd like to have a champagne stand with a little bit of by the fireplace. And it's going to be a proposal, and it's a secret, so make sure to keep it a secret. Okay.
All right, great job, Nicholas. Good job. Good. All right, excellent, excellent. Okay, let's get Jojo in here and see if this message comes across. You're gonna tell me. You're gonna tell the whole. Don't be nervous. Come on in. Abe has something that he would like to tell you. Abe, what are you gonna tell me?
Hi, so tonight Mr. Goldstein will be having a reservation. We'll be having it at 5:30. It is going to be a secret proposal, so nobody's supposed to know. And he likes to have his champagne upside down. Yes, I believe it's the message.
Awesome. All right. Now, we see how that message came across, and if you could just kind of give me an idea of that message and what Abe told you, because I want to make sure Chef has everything all set regarding Mr. Goldstein.
Okay. I was trying to remember keywords here, so Mr. Goldstein's coming in at 5:30. It's gonna be an engagement. He wants a champagne upside down.
Okay. Excellent job. Give her a hand. Great job. Okay, now remember your answers, and we're going to see how close they actually came to the original message. Okay, so when you see this original message, let's see how many points that we were on. Well, Mr. Goldstein, the name stayed the same, is coming in from the airport and has a dinner reservation for 5:30. We hit that one right. He is going to propose to his fiancée this evening. We all got the proposal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Please ensure he has a champagne stand prepped.
Upside down.
I don't know.
It's okay, we can put it upside down if we need to. If that's a part of the prepping stage, we can do that. He has requested an intimate table by the fireplace. That little piece dropped off, didn't it?
Yeah.
Is that an important piece?
Yes.
Absolutely, because I love sitting next to the fireplace. And this is a surprise, so please do not mention anything to his fiancée, Miss Snyder. Her name completely fell off the block, right?
Yeah.
So has this ever happened to where we've had an incredible message like this fall and end up in disaster?
Oh yeah.
Yes, we have. We actually had it where the gentleman told the hostess and set it up with the chit, the reservation, I'm doing this, I want it this way, blah, 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 blah. And then the server seen the chit and congratulated the fiance pre-fiance. Right, it blew his whole, like, that's a once in a lifetime show, right? Especially if it was his first marriage.
He shouldn't have told anybody. He should just.
It was at an andiamo. Yeah. But does it happen? It happens all the time. And so like Ramona says, Say it again. Clarity.
A thing on it. I can't say it.
I put her on the spot.
Yeah.
So to be clear in how you have clear direction and how you pass on information. So in the initial stages, Jennifer, you asked me to repeat it.
Smart.
Could you have taken a note? Exactly. Write it down. Write it down, and I'm telling you this because I have so many notes and so many sticky notes and notes in my phone, and I have notes surrounding my entire life. They're all over the place. Just because it's that important that I get the information clear and straight every single time because I deal with so many different areas. So what are some common courtesies of communication? Repeating the information? Okay. Well, we acknowledge and we greet each other. That's a big part of communication. We already spoke about that. Team members do not congregate in the guest area. We talked about that. Those are common courtesies of communication. So even if we're communicating amongst ourselves in that congregated area, it doesn't look good to the guests. So that's also a form of communication, nonverbal in a way. Personal or work-related issues are not discussed in the guest area or in front of the guest. Guests are always given the right of way. And this is something that I've seen at West Bloomfield, and I will mention it. I don't mention it when it's not good, but I will mention it when it is good. I was at a wine dinner. Amazing. One of our servers he was clearing the tables. These were very upscale guests. It was an invitation-only event. And he had a tray loaded with dirty dishes. And it was such a tight squeeze in between the tables and the guests were coming, and he was turning beet red and his hand was shaking, but he let them go. And without even blinking an eye, walked eloquently through the crowd. So if you're in a hurry in the restaurant industry, what do?
Slow down.
You slow down. And you just let the guests go and you take your time. But he was a very strong young man, and he did the right thing. It was beautiful. Just the way he did it was just like, it looked like art in motion is what that looked like to me. It really does. When you know your craft and you know the industry, you know what art looks like in the restaurant industry, and it was beautiful. Be aware of guest and team members' comfort zones. We talked about that earlier. You don't want to get in their comfort zone. You want to be able to differentiate between the two. Team members avoid slang, jargon, or acronyms. Can you give me an acronym?
BS.
That's an acronym. That is BS. Yeah, so we want to avoid those things. Team members are professional, concise, and clear. Again, we spoke about that. So what are our standards for communicate professionally? Warm, positive body language displayed when interacting with guests and team members. Show genuine interest by maintaining eye contact. Show empathy and understanding. Engage in active listening. How do you know if somebody's actively listening?
Eye contact.
Communication is one.
Eye contact, nodding the head, stepping in a little bit. We talked about that. Well-spoken and professional. Well-mannered, please and thank you. And then team members show each other respect in the back of the house. That's a big deal. And team members, guests, guests and team members feel valued and respected. And I'll break it down members as well in just a minute. So respect is the key. So make each interaction memorable. We all agree that it is important to create memories with Andiamo because what's happening here, people are coming back for what? Give me one.
Food.
Food,
Service.
service, special occasions, birthdays, anniversaries, wedding receptions. We want them there. If you're not selling those things when you're serving your guests, you're not servicing Andiamo. You're just not. Because we should be talking about weddings and anniversaries. Every time we have that guest in front of us, we need to be upselling not just the menu, but our properties. All of them, right? Not just our own, but all of them. So, let Love this picture. Satisfy guest requests and complaints. Sometimes when they're complaining, we can't see what they're seeing. We're like, that's exactly what you ordered. What are you talking about, Marie Therese? That's what I ordered. But yeah, they're gonna know. They're gonna know. So how do we do that? This is one of the key principles to remember. Their perception is reality. So regardless if it's true or false, that's their perception and it's real. And that's what brings a complaint. That's what you're gonna read on Yelp reviews. That's what you're gonna see out there in the social media. So keep that in mind. So if they see a situation as a problem, guess what? It's a problem. Don't fear complaints. Why are we not to fear complaints?
Because it's not really against you, it's their issue.
It's not even
It's not
their
personal.
Yeah, it's not personal, but it's not even their issue. What it is our issue, right, Tom?
It's an opportunity.
Bam! Love it. That's right, it's an opportunity. Do you hear that? That's spoken like a leader right there. And we're all leaders and we need to be thinking this way. Do not fear a complaint, welcome that complaint, because that complaint does what?
Allow you to fix it.
Opportunity to make it right. Gives us the opportunity to fix it, to make it right, to wow them. So we just took a really bad situation and turned it to a wow. A wow. I want to be wowed. Wherever I go, I want to be wowed. And sometimes that wow doesn't happen. And then I walk away. And with social media, it used to be your direct surrounding of influence was 500 people. What do you think it is now? Thousands of people are affected by that one comment, that one complaint. So we don't take it personally. Missy, you were talking about that.
Hey, Bertrand.
Yes, sir.
Band on that, only from a position that you guys are empowered, especially as servers, that you're in a position, if there's a complaint, a lot of times, they won't just come out and say the complaint, but if you're reading your table the right way, there's a good chance you know that something isn't quite correct. Because when I do a table check on people, I converse about them, I just don't say, how's your food, and then walk away. It's great, I see you're having all lasagna tonight, how's everything prepared for you? We get something amazing, 17 layers, all that stuff. If somebody says, oh, it's okay. Okay, that's not good. What is it that's, well, you know what, let me get my manager, come right over, because we can make that better for you. Because that's the story you want them to tell after. Hey, you know what, wasn't really great. The big fat guy came over, he came over and talked to me and said, you know what, give me that meal, I'll go back, I'll get it done, and you took care of the situation. So you made a complaint, a positive. And that's the story you want them to tell to their people. So don't think that something just kind of isn't something that you can expand.
Absolutely.
You're empowered to go ahead and, if you can make it right, do so. If not, please bring it to your manager or your GM, because that's a great opportunity. That's what I know. That's an opportunity to loss.
Absolutely, Tom, and I agree with you 100%. Yes, sir, Nick.
So I'm just asking, so they say it's okay, and they just kind of shoo you away without asking, bring the manager over there?
Well, you might say, is there something I can do to make that right for you?
Right, and they
We
say,
like everybody to
it's
leave
okay.
that's really enjoyed something. So if there's something,
like how can
is
I
it
make
too
this
salty?
right?
Is it not? Ask them a couple of questions like that. Or is there something that you're just not right? Is there something else I can do? So at least you've done every effort you could to try to make it right.
Then call the manager over there.
So, it's a lot of times people will call and say, hey, I was in there last week and I didn't did you tell anybody? No, and my response to that is, well, I wish I would have had an opportunity to make things right. But wouldn't you agree with me, sir, that you don't tell me? If you tell me I don't do anything, shame on me. I kind of tell I take it away from them, but I kind of tell my wife the same thing. If something isn't right, you didn't say something naughty, I'm really talking about the guy, then shame on you. You should have gave the guy an opportunity to make it right. We didn't do that.
Squeaky wheel gets greased.
And that's right. And you can say something as simple as, if he says, oh, it was okay, you say, you mean we didn't wow you today? Is that what you're trying to say? Well, it was a little bit salty. Oh my goodness, you know what? Thank you so much for bringing that to my attention. I'm gonna let the chef know. Is there anything that I can bring you? Can I make it better? Can I show you what that really tastes like? Was the lasagna too salty? Whatever that is, let me know so I can make that right for you. Because we don't want it just to be okay here at Andiamo. We want it to be great. We want to wow you. Please, offer me some feedback so I can make that happen. And it's just how you choose those words, you know what I mean? And Nick, I know you're already a master at that. Not yet, but you will be because you start practicing those things. Oh, you mean it was just okay? Oh, darn it. I must have done something wrong tonight because my intent was to wow you. How can I make this a better experience for you? They'll be like, well, you bring me a cappuccino with a shot of Grand Marnier.
That's a great start.
Oh, so good. Yeah, I can do that. Thank you for allowing me to wow you. All right, I'll be right back. And so it's about, that feel good, and so it's how you use your voice that's going to make the difference. Yes, Kayla.
I will say, for the front location being so new, we were all kind of nervous, how it was to be executed, but during our last, pre-shift, our GM, Adam, was like, you guys, so many, awesome Yelp reviews. There's, one guy, he didn't say anything, wrote a Yelp review, and was something was too salty or whatever, and then he did that, and the guy's been back, 3 times since. Has great experience turning around, so.
And
so.
That's awesome. Because I know as soon as Chef seen that it was too salty, he was like, what?
Yeah.
His head probably spun around 3 times. And, he hit the roof, they had to pull him down, and So, and I'm sure he was personally on that phone because that's the kind of pride Chef Jim Oppett has in his product. He will go to bat for Andiamo like you can't believe. And does it have anything to do with Andiamo? At the end of the day, it has to do with who he is. And Andiamo gets to reap the benefits of who he is. Isn't that awesome? That means you've hired the right person for that job. And that's like today, while you guys are in here. We hired the right person for this job because you're supposed to be here. You're learning this stuff because we don't want good employees. We want the best of the best and the cream of the crop. If you send me an employee, I'm going to say, are they good? You tell me, yep. I'm going to be like, can't use them here. You tell me they're great. Marie Teresa, they're great. They're amazing. Yes, give them my number. Bring them in. I want to see them. Let's do this. So, see the difference? It kind of matters. And it does matter. When you set your standards higher, it matters. You're going to be working. Those are the people you're going to be working next to. You can see your own team just by how you teach each other. And that's a fact. So what are some what are some standards for satisfying our guest requests and complaints? Let's take a peek. Guest requests are fulfilled in a hassle-free and a timely manner, right away. Sincerity is displayed through the tone of voice and the body language. It's not my job, not my problem is never implied. Not my job, I'm not doing that. You may not say that outright, but some of you are thinking it. It's not my job, I'm not going to do that. But when you do it, that feeling that you get afterwards is like, you know what, I didn't have to do that, but I did. And I'm glad that I did because I feel better about me. Guests feel respected and valued, and that's a big deal, and you're valued, and you're going to feel better too. So, make each interaction memorable standards. What does that look like? The team members are consistent, efficient, and give extra attention to detail. That's what it looks like to make each interaction memorable. Consistent, efficient, and extra attention to detail. Team members smile, maintain eye contact, display positive body language, and are attentive. Passion and excellence are displayed in all that we do. Team members display gracious helpfulness and a sense of personalized service. Team members go the extra mile. Are attentive to our guests without hovering. Ask questions for collaborative results rather than choose assumptions. And that's just exactly what Tom was talking about as well.